Greetings, everyone, and almost Shabbat Shalom. Today we're going to make three very delicious dishes that relates to Thanksgiving, and I'll talk a little bit about Thanksgiving later and how it translates to actually Hebrew, when in Israel we don't know what is Thanksgiving other than watching on a movie, which was my experience until I came to this country. But first, we need to go start with cooking. So first thing, we take one onion and we just chop it. Chop it. It doesn't have to be very coarse or very not coarse. This is going to go for the rice and the cranberries. Now, it's called rice and cranberries, but actually it's a very green mixed rice with all the spices and the herbs. So it's rice with cranberries, but actually it's very, very leafy-like. Adas, show them how many leaves we have to put here. And for those of you who ever ate or like Persian food, the Persians love greens. There are many, many green things. Like they have a soup that is called sabzi, sabzi, that is made with all kinds of green. It's very, very green. And again, the reason goes back to the time that people were poor, and greens were always something that is until the arrival of the dollar, things that are green were cheap. So, because the dollar is green. So we cut it like this. I mean, this is fine. Fine, maybe kill the big ones. And what I should have done a little bit prior was to put some oil. So we put 3.5 tablespoons of oil. We want some oil here, just to wet this.
Turn on the light.
Huh?
The oven light. So.
Pardon, oven light. Yeah, we have a light.
Microwave.
Yes. So we put it here and we let it heat. I should have made it before I cut the onion, but I'll take the opportunity and chop it a little bit even more, because it's going to go to the rice, and we want as much as possible, so we feel it less. We cut it and we cut it and we cut it and we cut it. And we cut it. And we throw it into the pan. Just like so. It goes like this. Oops. And then we just put it here. Now, there is always the debate, should you preheat the oil and then add the onions? Or some just mix the whole thing together and then let it heat, and maybe the oil absorb more the oil and gets. I usually like to preheat the oil a little bit, so it gets like a shock of the heat, and it helps caramelize, especially if you are in a kind of a rush. So much better to use a little bit hotter. I'm going to put it kind of a medium high, and we will hear it when it starts to sizzle. And now we go to the greens. And for the greens, we want to have 2 cups of parsley, which is, in this thing, you really don't need to be very precise. It can be approximate. So if you like more parsley, you can use more of the parsley and less of the, in any way, in any event, you're using less cilantro, ratio 1:2 with the parsley. But for those of you who love cilantro, you can use more. So we want to chop it as fine as we can. And by all means, if you prefer to use the food processor, that's fine. But for this one, you don't want the stems. So, and I'll tell you something from my childhood regarding the parsley and the cilantro. My father always knew if he did well for the weekend, if he chose the right parsley and the right cilantro. My mother was very particular about the parsley and cilantro. From my memory as a very young child, he used to get grade, not on anything else, not the fruits and not the vegetables, just the greens. Because if she didn't like if it's a little bit brownish or this, and sometimes it was my job to clean if they were a little bit not colorful and not as green as we have it here. So we want to mix everything. We need a bigger bowl for that to mix everything, and let's use this guy. So I'm going to put this here and give it a little bit even more. You have to use patience and you want to make it as fine as possible. Obviously, as I said, you can use the food process, but where's the fun? Where is the fun? Part of the fun is really to put your hands in things. And now we go to, this is approximately, I would say, 2 cups of parsley. And now I'm going to put 1 cup of not the nicest cilantro. My mother would not approve this one. But it's tasty, same. I don't know if the difference is that much. If you have 1 brown leaf, it's not the end of the world, I say. So again, we chop these, and the moment you start doing this, the moment you start chopping the cilantro now, the smell is incredible. You break all the cells, and it's very, very potent, very, very good smell. And when you cook the rice, you'll also smell it very, very well. So this is the parsley, and we will add this one too. In the meantime, especially when you're using high heat, it's good to check on this.
Cantor, we have
a
question.
Yes.
Manny, there is a question.
Yes.
They said how much dry cilantro? You said about 2 cups of parsley and about a cup.
Yes.
If they use dry cilantro.
If you use what?
Dry cilantro.
Oh, the dry, right.
I would measure with tablespoons. Cilantro, I would use with tablespoons. And I would switch a full tablespoon of dry to a cup, or maybe a tablespoon and a half. Right, Adas? Makes sense?
Maybe tablespoon. So
tablespoon or tablespoon and a half. And this is the deal. So if you got the dry cilantro, use it with the dry cilantro first time, but I highly suggest to get the real stuff because it's not the same. It's not the same. So we want to cut the cilantro, and again, with the cilantro, we want 2 cups. Cilantro, right. Thank you. 2 cups. And I think that's it. And because, again, we're using a high heat, we want to stir. Now, a trick that I'm using, if I'm afraid to really score the onion on a high heat, so what I do, I will add 1 tablespoon of water or 2 tablespoons of water just to make it wet. But we just need to get it, it's almost ready. Actually, it's ready. But I'll give it another minute. I'll add a little bit more oil. Mix it. Now, this is the base. We want to add 2 cups, 2.5 cups of water. Because we're using 2 cups of rice, you want 2.5 cups of water combined with the moisture that you have from the greens, it will be fine. Even those who use the dry cilantro, maybe add a little bit more water because it's dry and it's going to absorb. Instead of give, it's going to take moisture, and we don't want that. But, and I'll tell you something about the ratios of rice. Actually, we never cook rice on the stove. We use a rice cooker. And the thing about rice cookers, they are very inexpensive. We got ours for $30 at Costco, but it's very, very precise. You really cannot kill the rice if you use, it's always perfect. And the trick that it uses, if we have time, I'll explain how the rice cooker works. Okie dokie, 2.5 cups. Come, join me. Give it another tiny stir, like that. And then I will put the heat, and I'm adding 2.5 cups. So
around.
This is 2 cups. That said that this plastic measurement tool is good for hot water. We will see in a second. But Hadas is usually right. So 2.5.
That's good.
That?
Yeah.
Good. And we add that.
So you added it before the rice?
Yes. Now, there are two methods of doing it. Combine it like this, which is yellow, which is the wrong way. Or you can put the rice before you add the water. You can do that too. And by doing this, the rice actually is coated with the oil and get a little bit, it seals with the hot oil. So it creates like a film. Now there is a good and bad thing about it. The good thing is that they will be separated for sure. The rice will be separated 1-1. We call it in Hebrew 1-1. But the downside is that by sealing it, it really won't, from my experience, get to the maximum potential of opening up and being soft. So it's a trade-off here and there. We lower the heat to medium low. I would say, what is it? 2 Hadas on this stove?
Medium.
I would put it on 2. Let's put it on 2. Put it on 2, and it's supposed to be here for approximately 15-20 minutes, and you will know when it's ready. But it's not ready yet because we want also to add all the greens. I almost forgot. So this is what's going to make it very cool. But not the cranberries, only the greens. Cranberries come late there. And we mix it like this. See? Look how beautiful it is. And I wish maybe the next version of the Zoom will allow us to transfer the smells. And I wish you could smell what the smell is here. You see, so this is the ratio. It's a good ratio, and it doesn't have, and it's not the science on this one. You can put more green or less. And we want to use, again, low heat. 2 is good, I think. And we close it. And see what happens. Now, if sometimes you made the rice, I remember it from the time that I used to make rice in Israel, actually, before I got here. Me and Hadas used the pan. And the thing about rice is the ratio of rice for water changes throughout the time. That means that for 1 cup of rice, you can use 1.5 or even 2 cups of water. The more you add rice, the ratio goes less and less. So for, let's say, we use for 2 cups, we use 2.5 cups of water, which is good, but we have also the greens. But for example, if you had to do 6 cups of rice, you will probably use only 9 or 10 cups of water. 11 at the most, but definitely not, sorry, if I said 6 cups of rice, you would use maybe 7 or 8 cups of water, because the more rice, the ratio changes. And this is the downside of a stove, because when you make rice on a pot, eventually you become an expert on a specific quantity of rice, on a specific stove, because you know the heat and you know the amounts. Once you change the amount, it gets a little bit more trickier. So let's see what happens. But if it gets too dry, you finished it, you see, you even smell it, it's a little bit scorched at the bottom, but it's still dry, the rice. It's very easy fix. Add another 1/2 cup of water on the top boiled water, put it very, very low heat and let it sit. The moisture eventually will get into the rice, let it expand and be full of life and very delicious. Now, we are done for now with the rice and the cranberries, and we go to this delicious thing, butterscotch squash. So I've never heard of this. Butternut squash. Butternut squash, we don't have in Israel that name, but we have that vegetable, and it has a different name, much less appealing in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it calls dalorit. Dalorit. And it's not the best name, because many things in Hebrew start with the word dal. Dal means in Hebrew less. So you have dal kaloriot, which is low calories. You have dal shuman, low in fat, and many of the dals. So dalorit has nothing to do with it. This is just the name, not because it's short of anything. If anything, this thing is sweet and with earthy notes of the flavor, and it's very, very delicious. And
We have a quick rice question. They want to know if they're adding the turmeric to rice. I guess it was in the list of ingredients.
For the rice?
The
Yes.
turmeric, if you add
Turmeric later.
later,
All
all the
spices
spices,
later.
yeah.
The spices come later, and the salt and the pepper. And again, there are two ways of doing dishes. You can put, usually that's what I do. I put everything in the rice at first. This specific recipe is called for that, and I learned not to argue with something that is written unless I check it before. So I didn't check this. So with that technique of doing it my way, and I'm sure most people actually put the salt and the pepper on the rice before they do it. So this is the daluri. You can buy it whole and then cut it and take a lot of headache, or you can pay a little bit more, or actually much more, and get those cubes. So what you want to do, you want to mix this with the green onion, red. Now, you can see I put 2 red onions. Again, it's whatever you like. And we cut it like this. And these, the way that I want to do this I want to fill inside this mixture with that. So I do a half ring. So you cut the onion into 2, then you cut it again in the middle, then you have 2 like these, and then we have, actually these are quarters rings, and they don't have to be very thin, unless you like it that way. So actually these are quarters, so let's make some quarters, and let's make some half. Okay, so this one will make them halves, and this, I'll cut these like that, and this one cut like that. You know what, I'll make all shapes. Because all shapes are good. At the end, it tastes the same. It's an onion. And the red onion, I don't know how long red onion exists here, but I have never seen red onion until I was maybe 21 in my life. Not to mention the white onion that actually, I think it's even sweeter than the red. But in Israel, we have regular yellow onions, and onion in Hebrew is called batzal. It's a harsh name, batzal, but that's what it is. So here are the onions, and we have these. And in order to soften the whole thing and to really make it very, very relaxed, you have to put it on a high heat. So we put 475 in the oven. We want to put 3.5 tablespoons of olive oil in here and mix the whole thing up. So actually we could put the whole thing in a bowl and mix with oil, but we don't want to make a lot of mess. So we want the oil, and the oil is there. So I'm going to put this here, like that. Okay. And ideally, for this thing, you prefer a bigger pan than a smaller pan, because then there is more exposure to the heat. You have more heat around, and they get better. So we put the oil, the onions, like that, and we'll have to mix the whole thing with the oil. Now, 3 tablespoons of oil, I would say roughly, because we really don't care exactly how much, a little bit more is not bad. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3.5. That's it. And this thing, we mix it like this. Ideally, again, I like to feel things, so I use my hands. Now, you know, if I had my hands only, then I will feel dirty and this. But with gloves, you can always switch the gloves. But I'm usually not doing it. I'm washing my hands with the glove. So we mix it like this. And I would put here 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, with the salt, It's a matter of preference.
No.
With a matter of salt, you can use a little bit more, a little bit less. That depends what you like. So look, there is a lot of things going on here, but we are going to add the tahini, and the tahini does have salt in it. So I would say the minimum is 1 teaspoon. I would use 1.5 teaspoons. And the reason is it's not going to be that salty because the butternut squash is very sweet and the onion is going to release its sweetness. So it's not that much. But remember, you can always add after it's done. We put it like this, and then let's make sure I didn't forget anything. And yeah, we're good. And then we put this in the oven. This is going to go for almost half an hour, but then we will be ready. So this is going here. It's very, very hot. And we put it for half an hour. And if we're done earlier, then we'll take it earlier.
So put a timer.
The what?
Timer.
Timer. Yeah, okay. Kitchen timer. But we may take it earlier.
Yeah, but
Okay, it's a habit. Good habit.
yeah, I don't want to forget.
Good habits.
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to forget. Once we're done with that, we want to start the sauce to put on the top. Now, this is what's going to give it the Israeli twist because, you know, the yams and the pumpkins and this squash are very, very typical American Thanksgiving, but the tahini is not. But it's great add-on. So what we want to do here? We want to remember we made tahini when we made the hummus. Same thing. You want approximately same ratio of tahini and the liquids. So let's say if we are using now 3.5 tablespoons of tahini, let's do that. 3.5. So where is the tablespoon? This one? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
half.
that's a half.
Why?
Okay,
Tablespoon. No, that's a teaspoon. I think we had here a tablespoon. This one? No. Okay. You know what? You will follow the recipe. I'll play it later. But again, as long as you have the ratio approximately, it will be fine. So we want to add 3.5. I'll put. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. Please forgive me, Adas.
Wow.
All the mess that I'm making.
On the floor.
Okay, so this is kind of 3.5. And we will add 2 tablespoons of water. And I will add it later. Because we need to add also the lemon. So we want 3.5 and 3.5. So we put 3.5 tablespoons approximately of tahini. Then we will add 2 tablespoons of water and 1 lemon. So I assume it will be here. Now, Adas, you are the expert of this device. Did I put it right? It looks a little bit off.
I think so.
Yeah? It's usually not. Yeah? It's fine, right?
I think so. It's.
And
I'm holding the camera, so it's. Yeah.
It works. So we want to add 2.5 tablespoons. Now, when you see these, those who don't know, I'm sure all of you know, but in case one doesn't know, all food processor have this cover and it has a small hole. And the small hole, the purpose for this is when you want to release the liquids very, very slowly. For example, when you're making mayonnaise, you cannot throw the water with everything together. You have to put the oil and then you add the water almost by drops. Same thing when you do tahini. Unlike the mayonnaise, no harm will come if you combine the whole thing together. But it gets angry, the food processor, because the fats and the water gets very angry. So because of that, I will add it slowly. So we're going with the lemon is, remember.
And you forgot garlic, Kate.
Garlic. You're right. Garlic and the lemon, you said we.
Yeah.
You always forget something. Okay. Now, with this, again, there are no exact rules. You like saltier, you add more salt. You want it lemonier, then you put a little bit more lemon, as long as you keep approximately the ratio right. So I'm going to add the garlic, already minced. Yes, Adas, you use it.
Okay, so hold the camera.
Here.
Okay.
Good. So let's put this one. It's a little bit too much. I will use the smallest that I can find. And the reason is, tahini, you don't cook. So when you are cooking something or baking something, it doesn't matter how much garlic you put. It will never be too harsh. But when you're dealing with raw, for this amount of tahini, you will never want to use more than that, unless you like it very, very spicy. You want very little, just for the flavor. Very good. Okay. Now we close it. Like that. And that's it. Now we will add the water, slowly, slowly. Let's start with the lemon. If you remember last time I used the bigger one than this one. This is less friendly, but you know what, again, I'll put the lemon directly here. Opa! Here you see, so much lemon. Lemon is very good. Half a lemon is plenty here. And we'll add the water slowly. Now, we want consistency. The tahini can come in a lot of ways. You like it thin, you like it thick, some like the tahini very thick. When you buy a falafel in Israel and they give you the tahini, usually it's very thin tahini. And this is because of course, they want to save. But when you make it, you have control. More water, runnier. Less water, thicker. Whatever you like. So let's start this, and it's going to get, I would say this is 1 tablespoon maybe more. And I already see that it becomes like now it is a level of a taste. I forgot to put the salt. Okay, let's see. You know, we want to see. You see, come and just show them. You see the consistency of this one? It's like really almost like a hummus. But we want it a little bit less. So we want to put, I think it's a 1 teaspoon of salt, just to make sure. Yeah, it doesn't even say. So I would use here, for this amount, ½ teaspoon of salt only. Because this is a small quantity, we don't want it too salty. ½ teaspoon or even less if you don't like it salty. That's it. And pepper, if you like, you can put a little bit pepper. I will put a little bit pepper. So as I said, it's a little bit thick, which is maybe very, very delicious, you know, but very strong in the flavor. Too strong in flavor is also not good. Too overwhelming. Even though this pumpkin, it may be very good. Yeah, just close it like this and add another teaspoon. Just a little bit less, but I think it will be exactly perfectly right. Let's see. Yeah. See, we just need to put it a little bit longer. Now, what you can do, you can definitely do more. If you remember the recipe that I gave for the tahini, it will be the same, but it's bigger quantity. If you want to do a little bit more, just remember the ratio. As long as you have the same ratio of liquid, which liquid, the lemon is also part of the liquid, and the water, you want to have 1 to 1. Okay, let's a little bit move it around and see how it goes. I think it's fine. Let's see.
And maybe you want to taste it.
Oh, so. Sure. Without taste. Tasting is very, very important when you do. Now, this is the consistency. You see this? This is not, you see, it's thin, but it holds. I like this. Perfect. It's acidic because of the lemon, but I like Adas, you want to taste it? Put your finger. Tell me what do you think. We are chained, by the way. Good? Sour.
Yeah,
But
too
lemon.
sour. I would
Okay.
add more water.
Okay, so you can add a little bit more water. And remember, I didn't measure. So because I didn't measure, it's the lemon, as I said. But I would say that 1 tablespoon of lemon and the 2.5 tablespoons of water will be perfect. But if I will make it a little runnier, you don't need much. Here, this will be that. Here, you want to see? Let's see, where is it? Okay, so this is the consistency. See? This is the consistency of a good tahini. Like that. Not too thick, not too little. Now, because I put it on the side, you may have a little bit of clumps from the walls, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so we leave this aside. We will leave this for later. In the meantime, we want to garnish the whole plate with the rice and the cranberries, so we are going to do one of my favorite things, which is pine nuts. Pine nuts, roasted pine nuts is a delicious thing. I'll take a small skillet. And put it here. And I'll tell you something. These pine nuts are delicious. I'll tell you. Years ago, when I came to this country, very, very long ago, one of the first time we went to visit members from the congregation, they invited us, no names, nicest people, and I made a dish that it's meat, it's a packet of a dough that is made from burgul, which is the durum wheat, and filled with meat. So outside the durum wheat, inside you have meat, either fried or cooked, but it's the common practice to put pine nuts in it. That's the trademark of this. So I bring this dish, and the pine nuts are hidden inside those packets. So I enter to the house, and the mem of the house looks at me, oh, it looks very nice. I hope there are no pine nuts in it. So I said, what are the chances that somebody will be allergic to pine nuts? Yeah, some people are allergic, and in that person's case, it's a life and death. So a little bit of pine nuts. If she didn't ask, she would make a bite, it would be very dangerous. So we want to add some pine nuts, whatever the recipe calls, but it doesn't really, for this thing, it doesn't matter. I'll use this amount. Now, question is, do you need to use oil or not? Actually, you don't need to use oil with pine nuts because pine nuts are very fat by contact.
On a non-stick.
Or
a non-stick. Once you have a
Yeah.
non-stick, but even on a stickier one because it's very fatty. But if you put a teaspoon of oil, from my experience, it gets more unified and it moves easier and it is tastier. So it's only 1 teaspoon. And the thing about pine nuts are very, very spoiled and they get spoiled very quickly. Pine nuts, if you are overdoing them, they become bitter and they are quickly like this become bitter and too dark. The same thing, by the way, is the garlic. Garlic is very, very nice once you saute. If you cross the border and it became dark, then it's very, very, very bitter, the garlic. And with the pine nuts also, very, very quickly, once they get to the right temperature of doneness, then the crossing to the too hot is very, very quickly. So I don't want to take any risk. I'm going to lower the heat. And we remind me, Adas, to check on it in a few minutes. Okay?
You want to check on the rice or you don't?
No, rice, we put timer on this?
We put timer for the butternut.
But I don't know when did we put this.
Okay, yeah. So maybe you want to check.
It's okay. It's not a good thing to open rice pot. Why? Because everything there is going on and doing its thing, and all the moisture that is inside this pot is very heavy, the lid. So everything is lacking. Once I open it, things are going to escape out, including the smell, which is a good thing. But I should have put a timer. No, it's getting almost there.
Okay.
Yes, it does get. You know what? Give them a quick look.
Okay.
I can always add water.
Okay.
Whoops.
Oh,
A little far away.
yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay,
Hard
we'll
to
get it.
see.
We'll get it when it's ready.
A little fuzzy.
Okay. Now we let it do. And later, when the rice is ready, we're going to mix it with the cranberries, and we're going to garnish it with also with the cashews and the pineapples. We will also add all the spices later to the rice. Now, as I said, I prefer to use a rice cooker because the rice cooker is really foolproof and it's not a big deal. And now for the best part maybe, and this is the dessert. So again, the theme for Thanksgiving is sweet. And the sweet is because we want to be happy, and sweet relates to things that are good. As I mentioned before, in Israel, we never heard of Thanksgiving, and if we saw a movie with the turkey and a Thanksgiving celebration, same thing with Christmas. We never seen Christmas. The only thing that I saw that relates to Christmas was in the YMCA, because we went to the YMCA, me and my father, my mother, the whole family, and in Israel, we don't have a JCC. The YMCA is like the JCC. And because it's a Christian entity, they had a big tree there, which always freaked me out because I came from a religious house. But my father explained to me it's not a religious item, it's just a symbol. So in Hebrew, it's very interesting. Thanksgiving is Chag, like we say, Chag is a holiday. HaHodaya. Hodaya, it comes from the word thank you, to be thankful. So it's the Chag for being thankful. What do we eat usually? We eat turkey. But in Hebrew, turkey has a completely different name. In Hebrew, turkey is tarnegol, which is a chicken or a rooster or something like that. This is the type of the bird. Tarnegol, hodu, like hodaya. So for me, growing up, I thought that tarnegol hodu, which is turkey, is actually automatically termed that name only because it came from the holiday of the Americans. And later on, I heard all the explanation why it's called turkey, because the turkey has like the Turkish head, it has this thing, so the turkey head, and in Hebrew, we call it tarnegol hodu, so again, from being thankfulness. But if you are an Israeli, especially if you are a religious Israeli, you are thankful all day long. You are thankful all day long. So I grew up learning that the most important thing is to be thankful. So how a Jew is thankful? He's forced to be thankful. From the moment he wakes up until the moment he goes to sleep. As a matter of fact, King David came and said 2,000 years ago, that a Jew must say 100 prayers a day, 100 thank you, Baruch Atah. And why I said that? Because at that time there was a terrible plague, and many people, 100 people died every day. And King David says, if everyone will say 100 prayers a day, the plague will stop, and the plague stops. I have a small theory, if the story is true, of course, that, but just by being thankful, just by being a person that appreciates what's around you, your immune system will be even better. So how do you get to 100 prayers a day? Well, 100 prayers, at least for the men, is very easy. So you have to do 3 times a service. Shacharit, morning, mincha, afternoon, and night. In each one, you have the silent meditation. The silent meditation is made from 19 individuals' prayers of thank you. So you have there 57 already. In the morning when you wake up, you say, Modeh ani lefanecha. You thank God. The first time you open your eyes, you say, thank you, God, for giving me my soul back. It's not something to take for granted. Maybe the second or the third thing that you do, the second thing, you wash your hands. You say, Al Netilat Yadayim. You're thankful for that. Then you go to the restroom. I don't know if you know, there is a prayer also when you go to the restroom. As a matter of fact, a minute before we started, I Googled it in English because I wanted to read it for you, translate it to English. Okay, I'm going to read it in English. This is what you say when you get out of the bathroom. This is another reason why to be appreciated. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, King of the universe, who formed man with wisdom and created within him many openings and many hollow spaces. It is obvious and known before your seat of honor that if even one of them would be open, or if even one of them would be sealed, it would be impossible to service and to stand before you even for 1 hour. And again, you say the ending, blessed are you Adonai, who heals all flesh and acts wondrously. So even this thing that obviously Adas nodding with their face, you don't talk about this when you're doing a cooking class. But who is thankful when he's going to the bathroom? But you know what? If one hole is not working, you're in big trouble. Anything that we have to be thankful. So there is a special blessing when you see the
Rainbow?
The rainbow, right? The rainbow. When you see the ocean for the first time. When you see something that is nice and you admire it, you look at it and say, ah, beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai, got that one. But there is one for general for anything that you see. And then you wash your hands and all things. So the Jew should be thankful. And on Thanksgiving, you really, really feel it. And this is why everything is sweet. The dessert is very, 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 very delicious. For that, we need apples. We take the apples. Personally, I advise people not to cut the onions where you did cut the apples where you cut the onions. So what we can do, we can either flip it around like this. I've seen it in Seinfeld when they reverse the sofa seat, or we can just take another one. So let's take this wooden one. And we have a special device, this is the device, that removes, you know, the timer was very important for the rice, much more than the butterscotch. I should have put a timer for the rice. Okay, so you see what it does? It takes the heart out of the apple.
How long should the rice?
Rise 15 to 20 minutes.
So it's already been made.
It is?
Yeah.
So
I want to say you're at the 20 minutes.
I'm going to take a quick look.
Yeah.
See what happens. Yes. Yeah, my glove. Look at that. You see? But you need to let it be closed, remove from the heat, and let it wait 5 minutes. I did something that I shouldn't have done because I wanted to see if it's ready. But usually you put it 15 to 20 minutes, the rice, and you leave the lid on. Let all the moisture absorb into the rice. Now, if you use a little bit stronger heat, higher heat, and it will scorch a little bit in the bottom, actually it's a good thing. The Persians' rice always comes like that. So they make the rice in a pot like this, and then they reverse it like this. They put it upside down, so you have the crisp at the bottom, at the top actually, which is very, very delicious. It has all the fat and it's very, very crispy. So if you use a little bit higher heat and it's scorched a little bit at the bottom, that's not a bad deal. Okay, we take another one and we cut it. Oh, yeah. And we'll take another one. And let's do 4 first. And this dish is very, very delicious. Very, very. You see what goes in.
And very easy.
And very, very easy. Very, very easy. So what we do with that, and we want another knife. We don't want to use the same knife that we cut the onions, and we just cut them. And it doesn't have to be cut to a specific way. It can be cut in any way you want. So I'm going to cut them like this, but obviously you can make them thinner. Okay, so we have that. Let's cut this guy. You know what? Let's cut them like this.
Yeah, cut them smaller.
Cut them smaller?
Yeah.
Okay. We make some like this and some like that.
Yeah, it's like it's smaller.
Okay, here. You can cut it like this, and then you have smaller ones. It depends. But the good thing about this dish also is that you don't have to use the nicest apples. You can use even ugly apples. Just clean a little bit the inside if it's a little bit brownish. And even that you don't have to do. And you can do it with the skin or without the skin. I would prefer to use the skin because of the benefit of the vitamins and all the good stuff is inside the skin. So I already know that I'm running out of space, so I will get the other Pyrex. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to add those right here, like that. And I'm going to add the rest. That's a lot of apples. Yeah, so we cut this and we continue. Oops. Now, I'm not afraid that much to work with a knife. And the reason is, well, these gloves don't do anything. However, when I cut, and sometimes I don't look and I don't want to cut my fingers, that's not a good thing for a moil to go for a breeze with a band-aid on his fingers. So I use gloves, these gloves. And actually I put it on my left only because I'm cutting with the right. These gloves are very, maybe $10 at Costco, and it feels like fabric, but it's not exactly. And it's 5 times stronger than leather. So even with a very sharp knife, if by any mistake you do this, you're not going to cut it as like a hot dog. It's going to, your finger is going to stay intact, and I can vouch for it. Okay, so we add those. And then we get to the fun part. In a big bowl, we take 1.5 cups of sugar. So the sugar, right?
No, it's there. Okay.
From here. Sugar. And it's very easy and clear to see who does the cooking in the house because I look for things that knows where they are. Where is the cup measurement? We have it.
Oh, so that can different
We have another one? Ah, here it is, but it's wet. Oi, I forgot the pine nuts.
Oi.
But come, let's show them. It's good. It's good, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You see the color? It's supposed to be brownish like that. If it's black, this one, you have to take any one that looks black. So I'm going to remove it from the heat for sure. And it is going to continue. So because of that, you see, the right way to do it was really to stir it all the time, all the time. So it doesn't get some of them, because some of them are not perfectly done, but no one is really big. So that's the good thing. So I'm going to put it into a small thingy like that because the skillet is still hot and we don't want that. Okay, that's it. See, we put it like that. And look how nice it looks. Again, not perfectly unified. Some of them are brighter, but it's still good. So we want to put 1.5 cups of sugar here. So that's, you want to definitely sift it. So again, I'm not doing it very scientifically. I use all the sugar and it's a little bit less than 1.5 cups, but that's fine. And I want to break all those. And we want to put 1.5 cups of flour. And it's all-purpose flour, if you ask.
But you can use all wheat if you need.
You can use
if you want,
Where
if you
is
prefer.
the regular flour?
Underneath the rice.
Huh?
Underneath the rice, yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an all-purpose flour. And we want to combine it. Another 1.5 cups. So remember, same ratio, approximately 1.5 cups and 1.5 cups. Again, best way is really to sift everything, but you don't have to. So this is a cup, and I'm going to use a little bit less than 1/2 because I use less sugar. Removing a little, yeah, that's fine. Now this by itself is not very tasty, but we can make it tasty we will make it tasty by adding the butter. And also, it's a lot of fun to play with the butter and the salt. So before that, you combine the whole thing like this. I think we made one of the doughs that we made. We did this type of dough that is crumbled. And we want to add 1.5 sticks. So we take a stick like that. Like that. And we take another half like that. And after we do that, we really want to mix them together. So you can use it, if you don't want to get dirty, you can use a fork, but I'll tell you, you know what? We will start it.
And maybe stay there because the panel is going to.
Yeah, but
okay.
it's not, I will look at it. Okay. Yeah, but again, it's not going to burn, but I will look into it. Let's see. Yeah, look at it. It's a lot of it. Yeah, it's still getting softened. That's fine. And we want to mix it, and the way to mix it, you really want to do that. See? And this is a lot of fun. Don't be afraid to make a little bit mess in the kitchen. It's not that bad. It's a lot of fun. It's cold and it's nice. Very, very good. And if you couldn't get it perfectly, all the flour to stick to the butter, it will be fine anyway. Okay. So you see, it's ready. Before we put that, we have to add the cinnamon to the apples. And the timer is also very angry now. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off these gloves and put different ones. And we'll turn off the, I don't know. Maybe we'll check one of us.
Okay.
It has to be soft. Yeah, it's soft.
It's soft?
Soft. Let's leave it, turn it off.
Okay.
We have to let it sit a little bit. So let's take it out. Yeah, we'll take it out. We'll take them out. And soon everything will be ready except of the apples. And the reason is I wouldn't put the apples right after this dish because I want the oven to smell nice, even though it's not a bad smell, but I want to separate things. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, here it is. That's ready. And how do you know? Look, it gets in very, very easily. See, it can be even longer, but it's fine.
Okay.
Right, Adas?
Yeah.
Very soft.
Looks good.
Okay, we keep it like that, let it rest. I'm going to take another set of gloves. And now, after we combine the whole thing, first of all, we want to add the cinnamon. And the question is, how much cinnamon? And the answer is, as much as you like. So you sprinkle like this, generously, like this.
Yeah, we like a lot of cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon is very friendly.
And healthy.
Everybody loves cinnamon. And we put it like this. Okay? And you can even mix them a little bit so nobody feels that he didn't get what he deserved. All of them. Good. And then when this is done, we want to gently combine, put on top this delicious thing, which is made from butter. As I said, butter, sugar, and flour. I mean, how can it get better than that? And I wish I could show you how it looks after it's done. It looks delicious and it's very, very tasty. Okay, so look how it looks. See, everything is really combined, and we just spread it on top.
Evenly.
Preferably,
Yeah.
preferably evenly. Here, like that. And you know what? Again, it doesn't have to be exactly precise. The whole thing is going to melt in seconds in the oven, and it's going to get everywhere. And it's again, I have to say, this is a very tasty and very easy dessert. Very.
And with vanilla
And
ice cream.
yes, you serve it at the end with a vanilla ice cream or with like a few tablespoons of anchovies. No anchovies. I was kidding. Anyways. All right, so this is ready. So this thing just need to go to the oven. And we'll do it later. 350. 350
For how
degrees
long,
for 40
Manny?
minutes.
40?
40 minutes or until you see that it's soft. Now when this is done, we want to finish the rice dish. So for that, let's garnish the rice. So as you see, this is the rice, and you see it's very nice. They are very big. They are all ready. It's greenish and very, very delicious. And actually, as a matter of fact, you do have the bottom that is a little bit, no, the bottom is perfect. Maybe a little bit brownish, but this brownish is very good. It's actually it is. So now you want to mix all the spices. I will mix the spices in a small bowl. And then we do. So we want to put, where are the teaspoons? This is a teaspoon. So we want to put 1 teaspoon of garlic. Let's make sure that I'm doing it right. I think 1 teaspoon of garlic, salt and pepper. It doesn't say. Did we put salt in the rice? No, we didn't yet.
So.
We didn't yet. So I said for 2 cups of rice, important, for 2 cups of rice, I would use at the minimum 1 teaspoon, where I think 1.5 teaspoons will be better. Okay, or even 2 teaspoons. Even at 2 teaspoons for 2 cups, it will not be very salty, but I would say 1.5 teaspoons, I think it's ideal. Then we have to add the turmeric, 1 teaspoon, I think, or actually even half, because it's very strong. So I'll put approximate. Again, it doesn't have to be precise. That's around half. And we want to use 1 teaspoon of garlic, we said, right? 1 teaspoon of garlic. I'm going to put garlic powder, of course, like that. A little even less. And we want to use some pepper, so I would use half a teaspoon of pepper for that. Unless you like it spicy, then you put a teaspoon and nothing bad will happen. And then the turmeric and the paprika, we use quarter, actually, or half.
No, that's the turmeric.
That's the turmeric.
You didn't.
So the paprika.
You didn't take it out. So.
I didn't take it. Okay. So where's the paprika? Here's the paprika.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This is the paprika.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, you have more things to put, but it's up to you. What do you want to use of what? The paprika is a half teaspoon, but actually you can use even more. Nothing bad will happen. This is more. Okay, we combine this thing together very nicely. See, you combine it. And you want to add all the cranberries. So I actually don't like this method that much. I would prefer to put all the spices at the beginning. It will be even better. But this is the way, right, Adas? You used this recipe before, and this is the way that you did it. So we add it like this. We take a spoon and we combine it nicely, like this, as much as we can. Oh, that smells incredible. Really, this smell, and look how nice it looks. It smells delicious and it's very good. And from time to time, you'll feel a little bit of crisp from those that were at the bottom, like this. And you see each rice became one. They are very nice. I think that if I fried it before, it will be less unified. And then we add the cranberries. How much cranberries? Whatever the recipe calls.
I think it's 2
I
cups.
would use one, it says 1 cup. We will use a little less. It doesn't open. Let's cut it like this. Now it will open. We put it like that. And let's add these cranberries in. Okay? We break them like that. They're going to add a lot of flavor. And again, we mix it. Now again, mixing it after will never be precise as if we put the spices beforehand. I don't see a reason why not to, but this is the way that the recipe is called, and this is why we continue doing it this way, because it's really delicious. This is a very, very tasty food. Very, very tasty food. And at the end, you garnish this. What do we garnish this with?
With cashews.
Cashews. So at the end, you take like a plate, and then you just spread. We are not serving it now, but we can. So what we're going to do, we're going to take, let's say we take just a serving idea. We take that, and we take a little bit, I mean, not a little bit, you put much more, but this is the way that you serve it. You serve it like this. I mean, not in a bigger dish, of course. And on top, you put, no, these are not here, but you can, if you want.
Yeah.
The pine nuts will go here too, by the way, very well. But this is not the recipe. But who said you have to listen to the recipe? You can do whatever you like. I do whatever I like usually. Here, and then we spread them like this. And that's it. Okay? And this is ready, and this is the dish for the rice and the cranberries and the herbs. Very, very good. Now we move to the next one. How do we serve it? Adas, you will show them how you serve it.
Which one?
This. So you have to drizzle. Yeah. Yeah. You have the. Where did we put the tahini?
You put the tahini.
Okay.
And we have the za'atar.
We have the za'atar. I put it right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I said I put it right there, but I didn't point anywhere. So what good I am.
Yeah. Okay. So I prefer it thinner.
Okay. So, you like the tahini thinner. Yeah. So, okay. So if you like it thinner, what you want to do, you just want to add a little bit more water.
And we need some parsley that you didn't save.
Yes. I should have saved some parsleys to add on top of this as a garnish and as a flavor inhibitor. Good.
Okay.
So if it's runny, you'll have more tahini and you'll have more this. But as you can see, this consistency is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it will be maybe better for those vegetables if it was a little bit liquidier. There is no word like that, but it will work. Yeah, and now you want to add the pine nuts?
The pine nuts. Yeah, I'll add the pine nuts.
And Das is going to add the pine nuts.
Okay, like this.
Yes. And this is so delicious.
Yeah, I can't wait to eat it.
Yes. Now, you can put more tahina, you can put less tahini, but you'll have your combination of sweetness and this. Last words about this za'atar. Za'atar is a spice that is as old as our Bibles. Our ancestors even used it when they left Egypt. The priests used to use it to prepare the red heifer.
You talk.
Yes, and it's made the basic stuff in the za'atar is called ezov in Hebrew, but I don't know the botanic name. And there are other few spices that depend. There are many types of za'atar. We use the Israeli za'atar, but there are many types of combinations. Za'atar is very, very good. So as Hadas is washing all the parsley, with that. This is not good here at all. Yep, a little bit for the garnish. And yes.
Yeah.
So this is how it looks. It will look different if the tahini is more liquid, but this is very, very tasty. Now
on this, I like to add more cinnamon.
Hadas adds more cinnamon on top.
I like it. And if you like nutmeg, you can use it too.
Nutmeg, yeah, nutmeg. Some people like nutmeg very much.
Okay,
yeah, now this goes to a 350.
Mm-hmm.
And
For how long,
you're
Mary?
not 40 minutes. You will see. Again, with this also, you
But
cannot
this
go to bed.
becomes golden.
When this become golden. When it's golden, you're ready to go. So this is in the oven. This is Hadas, and this is the rice. And now I'm ready for any questions. Both me and Hadas. We will reverse the camera like that. Anyone has questions? Maybe it's not working anymore. Maybe everybody left already.
We're here.
Good.
You're not tired of us?
You're not tired?
I will tell you, everything looks delicious. It really does. I loved it.
Yeah, please follow. We will give the detailed quantities and in the recipe, the way that you're supposed to do it. But it's worth the effort. It's very, very good. Very, very good. And if you are using a rice cooker, then don't use the ratio of water and rice as I said. Just follow exactly the instruction on the rice cooker. Use the measuring cups of the rice cooker because it's different size. No questions?
You were clear, Remy.
Okay, so
Great job.
thank you. And if anybody wants za'atar, cannot get za'atar, or any of the, if some of the things that we are using are too fancy, I will get them for anyone who wants it. It's really no big deal.
Where do you usually get it?
So we go to Fairlawn.
I got it from Seasons in Clifton.
Season in Clifton. Or in Fairlawn, there are Israeli places or Arab
Tinek.
places. Tinek.
Yeah.
But again, if you need za'atar, I will buy it for you. It will hold for years. I mean, it will go bad, but you will not use a lot of it.
There have been a couple people cooking along with you, so let us know how it comes out.
Wow. Sherry did it, I think.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm very happy.
It's delicious. I love it.
You do? That's
Good.
great. Yeah, and remember, you can always
Can I
adjust.
spotlight you? Can you show us? I'm going to spotlight you guys who are cooking.
What, Michelle?
Look
Look at that. Yes. Exactly.
Nice.
Look how juicy it is. It looks nicer than mine. Right. And now you just need to drizzle the tahini on top. A killer dish.
We're going to eat it tomorrow, so I figured I'll drizzle tomorrow after I warm it up.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we're very glad, right? You were very happy too.
Yeah.
We are very glad that you were happy, and we are here for you.
Diane.
Diane, great. Very good. Wonderful. Next one is Hanukkah, and we are going to run some. Hanukkah is easy because we are from Israel, and in Israel, Hanukkah is a big deal. So we'll see you in a few weeks.